Refineries closing, job losses, and perhaps the end of Australian Made Petrol. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee, and I thought we'd have a look at this article from The Age that was shared to me by a viewer. Key piece: loss of the Altona Refinery sparks wider manufacturing warning. Now, the Altona Refinery, we'll jump over here, we'll have a look at some images of the refinery. It's a smaller refinery down in Melbourne, and, well, it's ExxonMobil. It's one of the oldest too. And its demand has been, well, reduced due to COVID and other things. But there you have it. I mean, you've got a refinery. Guys, important piece of infrastructure. You don't want to be importing petrol, do you? We all use it. Just think of the embodied energy of importing petrol from the other side of the world. Let's have a look at some of the reviews that people are saying. The Google reviews. A bit of insight. So, Annie Young. What a depressing, sad sight. The storage tanks are old, extremely neglected. Rusty, such an eyesore. A bit of rust on the outside. I mean, we saw that. A bit of rust on the outside. It happens. You know. Way overdue for a makeover. Some ideas to consider. Artwork, scenery. Local themes. Okay. Okay. They want to do some artwork. Cool. I mean, okay. You know, do you really want people coming to have a look at these things? Do you want the public to, maybe, I guess, by the roadside, but generally you don't. You've got trucks and heavy vehicles. I remember when I took Rachel to a date to the wharfs here in Queensland. Yeah, it wasn't very impressive. She didn't like it at all, and everything was closed. This was a few years ago. Here we have another one. Tyson. It's a fair dinkum place to work. Blokes are great, and there's a good vibe towards safety and camaraderie with work crews. I'd give it 5 stars, but I didn't get an invite to the Christmas breakup. Invite me this year, and I'll give you 5 stars, considering I'm a pretty big deal. That's a great offer. Well, there you go, boys. There you go. What do we have here? Great place to work, and 2 1-star reviews. So not too much. Not 7 reviews. So there you go. But it looks like they're closing it down, everyone. And the concern is, well, the question is, why is manufacturing less competitive in Australia than other countries? You've got more and more people who are advocating, oh, let's just bring back manufacturing here in Australia. But you've got to understand, people say that, but people want a bargain. And some people, well, they can't afford to spend extra on luxury items. And you can't judge people for that. If they are doing it tough, maybe they're saving to get in their first house. So they have to scrape by and they pick, okay, I'll get that imported product because it's a third of the price. Sure, it'll break apart in 2 years' time, but then I'll get another one. It may be cheaper in the long run. So you've got to understand, some people don't have the luxury of paying more for ideological reasons, which is what this is. So let's look at this. So loss of the Altona Refinery sparks wider manufacturing warning. Really, I think well, most people have been concerned about the general decline in manufacturing in Australia for years. ExxonMobil's move to shut its Melbourne fuel refinery has sparked a warning about the impact of other major manufacturers who rely on its products. The United Workers' Union National Secretary Tim Kennedy said workers were set to attend a meeting at 10 a.m. to hear the Altona plant will close, leaving Australia with just 2 refineries, everyone. Just 2. In a huge country. Do you remember the last time there was a petrol shortage? I still have memories of a child waiting with my parents, just lining up just to get a full tank of petrol because there was a shortage. And that was when I think it spiked to 60 cents or 45 cents. I still remember petrol at 45 cents as a kid. Maybe I'm showing my age here. I mentioned to another bloke at the petrol station, I mean, it's a sad sight when you think $1.16 is cheap. Mr. Kennedy said there were 260 workers employed at the site and many specialist contractors who depended on it. The effect is a bit more significant than that. It's a key part of Melbourne and Victoria's and Australia's advanced manufacturing structure, he said. Mr. Kennedy said major manufacturers such as Qantas relied on product from the Altona Refinery and would now have to source that material from China, which was less reliable. In a statement, ExxonMobil, the refinery was no longer economically viable and will be converted to an import terminal following a review. Well, why isn't it economically viable? What is it, the scale of the refinery? It's a smaller one. We don't have the same economies of scale as other countries. That's just a reality of certain things. What else could you do? We are grateful for the tremendous effort by our employees to improve the viability of the operation, said Nathan Fay, chairman of ExxonMobil Australia. We extend our thanks to the federal government for the significant support offered to Altona and other refineries. Our decision to convert our facility to a terminal is not a reflection of those efforts. In 2010, Australia had 7 refineries and will now have just 2 after ExxonMobil's move on Altona followed BP Australia's decision to shutter its Kowina site in Western Australia. The announcement means the number of refineries operating in Australia will have halved since last year's federal budget unveiled a $2.3 billion support program amid concerns about the nation's fuel security. Didn't our government buy a whole lot of fuel that's over in the United States? The budget scheme was accelerated in December with funding brought forward by 6 months. At the time, Energy Minister Angus Taylor said the strategy would create 1,000 jobs. Why do we even believe any of this rubbish from the politicians that it would create jobs? Why are we even wasting taxpayer money to try and prop up these businesses? Maybe the government needs to look at how they can step out of the way to allow our businesses here to compete on an equal footing with businesses overseas. What advantage? We don't have the tyranny of distance if we produce here as opposed to importing it overseas. What other burdens are we putting on our facilities that they can't compete? Are they just too old and reaching the end of their life? And there's no point investing all this infrastructure in it when there's no political will to support this type of stuff. I mean, people are more interested in painting unicorns and stuff on the side of it, or New Zealand politicians, than the fact that having cheaper petrol can actually improve all of our quality of lives. It means the transportation of goods gets cheaper. It means travel gets cheaper. It means people who are struggling to find a job on $40 a day can have more money in their pocket when they're driving around looking for work. You know. Oh, I mean, these aren't controversial ideas. Getting cost of living cheaper for Australians. Is that? Don't people get that? On Wednesday, Mr. Taylor said the decision to close the refinery was extremely disappointing. ExxonMobil has made clear that the impacts of the pandemic, declined crude production, and other commercial factors have significantly impacted their earnings, leading to today's decision, he said. Mr. Taylor said the closure will not affect Australian fuel stockpiles, and that the government was supporting the sector through JobKeeper to maintain operations and protect jobs. He said the government support package would boost onshore diesel stocks and protect motorists and industry from future higher fuel prices. Maybe the government could just remove some of the excises on the petrol. Wouldn't that be great? That would be good. That would be really good. Why not that? See, this is the stupid stuff the government does. They tax one part of our industry, then they funnel the money through the entire system with all the inefficiencies, and they hand it out to people in the other one saying we're supporting them. Government, guys. Okay? I think we need to just get a culture now of people not trusting them and realizing that they're not going to take care of you. That you have to do whatever you can to be self-sufficient and realize that anything you get from them is just luck at this stage. We can't trust them anymore. They could shut down your business, blink of an eye. They could change all the rules and legislations right away. That's it. And there'll be people happily voting for it, particularly if you're one of those greedy, independent small business owners or someone who dares to lift up your bootstraps and work hard to achieve something. Oh no, they'll tax you to the moon. Can't have that, comrade. We all have to be in the gutter and equally poor and pathetic. So, he said the government support package would boost onshore... Yeah, we already read that. The government will continue to work with the sector to support Australia's refinery capabilities and fuel security, which will support our farmers, miners and truckies into the future, he said. Mr. Kennedy said the support could not make up for the lack of plans for energy and for advanced manufacturing, and the fact BP and ExxonMobil had both decided not to take it up showed it was insufficient. It's lazy thinking and reckless with taxpayer money, he said, kicking the can down the road. Well, yeah, mate, that's all our government does. They just kick the can down the road. Well, welcome to Australia. Come on, seriously. Our leaders like kicking the can down the road. It's future generations' burdens. Mr. Kennedy said, It was likely the plant would close in about October as ExxonMobil looked to quickly focus its attention elsewhere in its global operations. Some workers might secure redeployment into ExxonMobil's upstream oil operations, but the future of those businesses, including its in Bass Strait, were not bright either, he said. I mean, this is crazy. There's so many natural resources in the Bass Strait. It should be a hub for producing these resources and exporting them all over the world. That's what we should be doing. You know, Victoria should have some of the cheapest energy prices in the world. But no, they put windmills that barely reach 20-30% of their capacity half the time. You know what? Let's look at it right now. Let's look at it right now. I'll bring this up. You know, what are we talking about here? Because, you know, I'm saying 20-30%. Oh, wait a minute. 27? Yep, 27%. 5%. 14%. Oh, 8%. Here you've got one running at 0%. 3%. Fantastic. See here, see this here? Whole lot of gas, natural gas. Whole lot of natural gas in there and other resources. Yeah, let's build wind turbines imported with huge amounts of embodied energy, completely with imported manufacturing and technology from other countries, and then stick them on farms so you have to blow the damn things up and bury them because you can't do anything with them. Fantastic. Yeah, see, I really think the average punter doesn't understand the idea of embodied energy and how that to produce something takes energy. And sometimes it's better to use the you know, dirty ways of producing something if you don't have to transport it as much. And it might actually be better for our local economy. Cheaper manufacturing here. I wonder how much do you think the power bill is for this refinery, guys? You know? I'd be really interested to see what the power bill is for that refinery and how much of an impact that could have on the viability, the economic viability of this. Because all of this stuff adds up. Don't think it doesn't. You know, oh, wow, you're suddenly pushing a state towards more and more renewable energy. Oh no, our manufacturing sector is no longer economically viable. If you're going to do renewable, do hydro, guys. Do massive infrastructure projects. Or, I don't know, maybe nuclear. But I can't see that happening in Melbourne. So, this company has made it quite clear it doesn't see future in Australia. Yeah, no, it doesn't see future in Victoria. It doesn't see future in Victoria. The oil component will run down to dry in Bass Strait in 5 years. Construction of the Altona Refinery began in 46 and it commenced operation in 49. Well, the oil component will, but you've also got the natural gas there too. ExxonMobil had not publicly stated whether it would seek support from the government to keep the plant open. The two remaining refineries are Viva Energy's plant in Geelong, which is signed up to the government support scheme, and the Ampol's site in Lytton in Queensland. Mr. Kennedy said he believed Lytton was also likely to close, great, and declined to comment on the prospects for the Viva plant in Geelong. A parliamentary library report published in December noted local refineries were relatively small and old and had to compete against larger and more efficient refineries in the Asian region. We don't have the economies of scale, guys. This is the problem just for manufacturing in our country entirely. Our economic complexity is low because our population is small, so we don't have the same scale. The work we were doing with Lorna Jane, they were pushing to get into the States. You want to get in the States, it's a bigger market. Even an app developer, you want to get on the US market. You want to get it moving there because of the scale. It's so much larger. China then, whole other scale. The report also noted there were concerns in some quarters that the loss of refining capability could leave Australia vulnerable to supply disruptions. Local federal Labor MP Tim Watts said the news was a jobs disaster and questioned whether local chemical businesses that relied on the refinery would now be under a cloud. Well, he's probably right there. So there we have it, everyone. One of our oldest refineries and a small one closing here in Australia. What do you think the future is for petrol in Australia and our manufacturing industry and all the calls for people for more manufacturing here? I'm not confident we can compete. Maybe the government needs to step out of the way and look at what actually needs to happen to allow us to compete. Maybe some special economic regions where government burden is significantly stripped away. But I can't see there being the political will for that here in this country when we can't even get minor industrial relation reforms through Parliament without every man and his dog thinking it's the end of the world. What do you reckon, guys? Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I go through here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links from Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. If you sign up with our SelfWealth referral link below, you can get 5 free share trades, and I can get 5 free share trades as well. Take care, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.